Hi, everybody, and welcome back to TV for Real, where reality and scripted TV collide. My name is Mike Bloom. I'm joined, as always, by Sasha Joseph. Sasha, I missed you last week.
I know. Oh my, listen, the coven came together, but we were missing one witch. So you'll be back soon. We got to run it back. It was so much fun. Again, thank you to Franny and Jason for stepping in. That was just so much fun. But another fun week today. I'm ready.
Yeah, we have no Franny, but we have an FOF, a friend of Franny, and a Survivor contestant in his own right. And look, TV for Real is all about the marriage of reality and scripted
Oh,
TV. And we're
Nice.
talking about a guy that recently is living in his own wedded bliss from Survivor 43, the one, the only Owen Knight.
Hello, hello. Yes, thank you, Mike and Sasha, for the congratulations and for having me. I guess 2 weeks ago today was my wedding, and it's gone very fast. We've been a little sick, honestly. Just like the post-wedding exhaustion, election time, daylight savings, all these factors coming together. So we've just been like laying low a little bit, which has been nice. But yeah, honored to be here back with RHAP on another show, and just getting to yap about TV. One of
I
my
was gonna say a
favorite
lot,
things.
less
I
high
know.
pressure than your other fill-in spot that you had this week. This is much more of the party in the back than the know-it-alls,
The,
which is very much business
the
in the
big
front.
in the front. Yeah, exactly. No, happy to
listen.
be here on the backside of the mullet for today.
Owen has been killing it this week
Oh yeah.
on our the RHAP extended universe. So
Right. I told Sam Moore, like, hey, I probably can't do anything until after I get married. And then as soon as I did, here I'm back. I'm back. I missed it.
Well, Owen, let's rewind back even before your wedding, even before that, before you were on Survivor. Let's go back to the early days of Owen Knight, a childhood that we know all too well from what you've talked about on the show. But talk to me about some of the shows that made you. What's like the first thing you remember watching when you were a
Yeah.
kid that you were like a huge Mondo fan of?
Arthur. 100%
oh,
Arthur. So I am an only child, and we did not believe in cable television. And so I really just had the network stuff, and PBS was the bread and butter. So obviously, like, yeah, Mr. Rogers, Sesame Street, but Arthur was like my show. Like, I watched Arthur all the time. I thought Arthur was like me. Like, I felt very analogous to Arthur. We both wore glasses, so obviously we're the same.
That's basically it. Yeah, that's all you
Yeah,
need. It's the Venn
that's all we
diagram, the
needed.
circle.
Yeah,
oh my
and
god.
so that was very formative, and I definitely watched Arthur for too long. Like there was definitely, I was like in like middle school being like referencing Arthur, and people were like, you still watch Arthur? Like, yeah, bro, it's good. Even like the postcards from Buster spinoff.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So that's like the first show I really remember like loving. There's a lot more, but were y'all big Arthur people? Because I feel
Oh,
like we're all ballpark similar ages, right?
well, that's the thing is that I mean, Owen. First off, there is, and maybe this is showing my own fan a bit. There is an Arthur episode that is pretty much what you're talking about. With there's a show Teletubbies analog called The Love Ducks that Arthur's like, I don't want anyone to know about this. But yeah, I was a huge fan of it. I had a younger sister as well, so I think my tail end of your experience was a bit tailored to that. But what's also interesting is I was actually in Boston a couple of weeks ago, and of course, Boston, home of WGBH, which
Mhm.
was like one of the main curator of a lot of this PBS content in the 90s and
Zoom.
2000s. Yeah, and they have Boston Mass 02134, shout it out.
Ooh.
And they have at the Boston Children's Museum, they have like an entire Arthur exhibit. So it's very much reawakening that part inside of me, certainly.
Hell yeah.
Oh my god, I should have worn my Arthur shirt. I do have my sorority every like our philanthropy is children's education and literacy. So every year we'd have like some children's based theme. So we have shirts that say having fun isn't hard when you've had a library card.
Amazing.
So
Does it all say that on one shirt, or is it like back and front?
no, like no, it's just like it's a circle. So like having fun isn't
Okay.
hard when you've had
Because I'm
library
saying, like,
card.
if you had a shirt that
Yeah.
just said having fun isn't hard on it, like,
In college, it works. No, I'm just kidding. That's another show.
yeah, but like having
No.
fun isn't hard, but you know I am right now.
Oh my
Oh
god.
God. And then it's just Arthur
And
vibing.
that's just Arthur. Like,
Oh my God. So I was introduced to Arthur a little bit late because I don't remember having Arthur in India. That's where like I grew up. But as an only child, same Owen there. I was just like would watch anything and everything that was on TV. Cable, I think, works a little bit different in India, where it was just like whatever's on is on. And thankfully, for me, maybe not for my mom, but my mom worked a lot. So I was with my grandparents during the day, and it was just me, whatever I wanted to watch, I was watching. So there's a lot of these little shows that I remember seeing a little bit of. It's just I wasn't allowed to watch like the American channel, which had all these shows. But Teletubbies, okay, I was too old, but I was fascinated by them. So I was watching that shit like crack. It was so
Amazing. Yeah, PBS had some bangers. I remember
yes.
Zaboomafoo was one I
Uh-huh.
enjoyed.
Oh my God.
Dragon Tales I was a little too old for.
Yes.
But then the Kids WB hour was big for me. You know, you had Pokemon, you had Static Shock. I love Static Shock, Jackie Chan Adventures. There was a lot of good stuff out there. But yeah, it's funny you mentioned Boston, because yeah, that was, I used to think the kids on Zoom were like the SNL cast or something. Like those kids were like,
Yeah, they were
I
doing so much coke behind the scenes.
Right, exactly, just rampant drug use. But no, I even remember some of their names, and I was like, that kid looks so cool. But yeah, it's so funny just the way that worked out. And then yeah, Survivor was one that I picked up at an early age and then kind of fell off with. But I remember it was so interesting. And well, I guess I didn't talk to you about this pregame, Mike, because you just submitted your questions. But
yeah,
just like falling in love with it as a little boy for challenges and girls in bikinis and the beach and like,
Period.
you know, like just like the aesthetic stuff, and then finding it again at like 24, and then realizing like, oh wait, strategy is a thing that occurs on this show as well. So yeah, it's been kind of nice, like having this like through line through my life of Survivor, but having kind of two chapters to it. But then for me, I'm someone who still really enjoys watching challenges and like some of the more like surface level things of the show, because it almost like brings me back to like being a little kid, like counting the vote tally on my hands as votes got read off and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm intrigued, just going back from the Zoom perspective, like, did you ever try to apply or send anything there? Because I think, like, could that be a direct pipeline to you sending in an application to Survivor decades later?
Yeah, no, I never did. I think I wanted to do the Kids Jeopardy. Like I forget what they called it, but like the Jeopardy Kids edition. But I remember there was a kid at my school, William Bartlett, who was like the smartest kid ever. And he had an older sister named Katie who like made it to the finals, but then she didn't get on the show. And I was like, well, if Katie Bartlett cannot get on Jeopardy, like I'm never going to get on Jeopardy. And I think, I don't know if this is 100% true, but this feels accurate to my like 9-year-old headcanon, but I feel like my mom used Jeopardy a tiny bit as a guilt to make me keep going to church, because she's like, they always have Bible categories on Jeopardy, so you need to make sure you like know the Bible. And she's not like hyper religious, but I think she was disappointed that I didn't like take to church very much. So I think that was like her last like stand of trying to keep me engaged, was like, well, if you ever want to win Jeopardy, you need to like know the basics of the Bible.
Honestly, that's so smart.
It's genius. It's a good strategy. Didn't work, but I applaud the attempt.
Listen, oh my gosh. Or yeah, my mom did the just like straight up, I will not be paying for all the extracurriculars unless you go to like synagogue or do
I was like, unless you go on Jeopardy.
No, I wish. No, it would be
You're
more
not
like
going
if
to the
you don't
mall
go
until you apply to Jeopardy.
if you don't go to like Hebrew school, then you're not getting like to get a run track. Or even in college, I couldn't do sorority stuff if I didn't go to like the Hillel, basically. Yep. So it was like, can't pay your dues if you don't go to Hillel.
Incredible.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
I'm curious y'all's opinion, because I grew up in a pretty Jewish town, and a lot of my closest friends from growing up are Jewish, but I feel like it's pretty ubiquitous that no one I knew enjoyed going to Hebrew school. Like literally not a single person. Like, do you have any friends that were like, yay? Like, or is it just
it's
kind
so boring.
of
Like,
yeah,
I
no
think,
one likes it.
well, first off, I think like anything that ends in school, unless it's like ice cream school, kids that are that age are just gonna immediately get turned out. Like, I think we need a rebranding of
that. Don't even get me started, please. I also did get kicked out of Hebrew school in India. Maybe I wasn't the most kindest to the boys.
Well, they probably
Damn it,
deserved it.
Sasha.
Yeah, I was a bully. Oops.
Arguably, wouldn't you need to be kept in the class the most? Like, you need to learn the most from the Torah and their learnings. Why are we casting this person out?
It wasn't like necessarily, I think, how it is in America Hebrew school. So I think it was a little bit more loosey goosey. Again, because probably just not that many people to teach and stuff like that. So yeah, they were like, maybe they talked to my mom and was like, maybe she should just keep doing track and all the other.
She's got fast legs and a fast mouth. Let's just work
that
on
Yeah,
it for her.
she knows how to run her mouth. She knows how to run, period.
Oh my God. But I love going to services, which is funny. But yeah, all that extra stuff, I can't. So that's really funny that you bring that up.
And what's so interesting for me was I certainly remember growing up, like, there were channels of, educational variety for Christians. There was a bunch of, what was it, like the Book of Virtue, I remember I think it was Tales of Virtue, whatever it was. I remember there was a talking buffalo that taught stories out of the Bible. And I was like, why do they have this? Like, this is so much more entertaining and palatable than going to sit in like a cold room. That's the thing, is that you don't want to go to school on one of the only 2 days of the week when you're not already going to school. If someone was like, hey, can you come in from like 9 to 12 on Saturday and do Sunday work? Do you think anyone's going to go to Sunday work at all, or at least have the initiative to do so?
Yeah,
listen,
not at all.
I did like Sunday school teaching to just make a little bit of money when I moved to San Francisco originally, because it's expensive to live here. And I literally was like, I don't want to be here. Why does anyone else? Like, these
and they're
poor
paying
kids.
me.
Yeah, literally. And then I like quit, obviously, very quickly. But no, I completely understand that. I think it's really interesting because growing up for me, I remember watching a lot of Cartoon Network. Like, that was also my jam. India had a lot of like kids TV shows that were spin-offs of American shows. So we had this called Karishma, which is the Vicky, who's the robot, right? That she comes to live in the house.
Small Wonder?
Wonder, thank you.
Oh, you're talking they remade Small Wonder in India?
So, and she had the same outfit, the red shirt with the white, like the same exact outfit, everything. So they had a few things like that. But Cartoon Network, I think about Captain Planet and how much like I learned from that. Like, what happened to all of these shows? Because Owen, you brought up the election, but I think a lot about like how millennials grew up and the shit, like the good stuff that we were watching.
Right.
I feel like from Jump, and
we learned things.
Yeah. So I'm sure I sound like a boomer saying that, but it's really interesting because I was even looking up like, what the heck were we watching in the 90s? And then it's just like a guy, like a bro, Popeye, that was like, you should eat spinach.
Bro. I don't think I've ever heard Popeye described as
it's probably not
a total Chad.
I mean,
total
I
Chad.
feel like if
Johnny Bravo.
Oh, if Popeye existed nowadays, like, he would be one of these like fitness influencers plugging nutrients and supplements.
Sigma male, all of that.
Just risen up olive oil.
Olive oil's total trad wife.
Just waiting to pick between Bluto or Popeye. Oh my God. Oh, did you guys know Johnny Bravo had a whole him going to Bollywood storyline?
No.
Look this up.
That's incredible. It's funny you mentioned Johnny Bravo, because have y'all seen that fitness influencer who dresses up like Johnny Bravo?
What?
Like, and that was the first time. He was so funny. He's gone viral on TikTok. I forget his handle, but he's got the mannerisms down perfectly. But it's like, wow, I hadn't thought about that show in forever. So they had a whole like Bollywood crossover. That's incredible.
Yeah, he like went to India.
It's so interesting because I think on paper, people might look at that outside of our generation and be like, what kind of crap are you watching? Where this raging misogynist just spent entire episodes of television mercilessly hitting on women. But the point was, the butt of the joke was that like he never got with anybody. I'm pretty sure like the one time he did, and I may be talking out of my ass here, I'm fairly sure there was an episode where he like struck up a fairly solid consummated relationship with a deer with like a
No.
literal doe.
Oh my
I'm
God.
fairly sure Johnny Bravo may have fucked a deer.
This is getting clipped.
I definitely missed that one. Oh my God.
Oh my God. Johnny
Jesus.
Bravo is the most unserious
So
person.
down bad, as the kids would say now.
Correct. And zero riz. Like
Zero
none.
riz.
Oh yeah, so I'm looking it
Negative
up. Yeah, there
riz.
was one time that Johnny Bravo got catfished by an antelope.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, Johnny Bravo, dear woman. Look at these videos. Oh, the pictures are crazy, y'all.
I'm looking this up now.
No,
Oh my
thank
God,
you.
she's licking his face.
Yeah, that's exactly the one I saw.
Oh my God.
But you know,
Carol the
desperation.
antelope. Man.
But what I do find interesting is that going back to your point, Sasha, about Captain Planet, like, yeah, there was something about like, I don't know, edutainment and like specifically the shoehorned in PSAs. Like, I know that G.I. Joe was a bit before this time, but like they would always have stuff. I think even like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles show had just like dedicate 2 minutes at the end where it's like, hey kid, angel's dust will turn you into an angel because it'll kill you. And it's like, okay, thanks, Rocksteady. I won't do angel dust. And as wild as it is, yeah, I guess it did have a bit of an impact. I think the Reagans are responsible for a lot of things, and one of them being that they were able to conquer a full frontal assault on drugs based on the stuff they put it across television.
No one in our generation has done drugs. That is true, Mike.
Exactly. We're all so chaste.
Dare worked.
Dare. It's funny. I missed Dare. Like my grade, I think they stopped doing Dare the year before I got to 5th grade or whenever. And I remember being so mad that I didn't get a Dare t-shirt because the Dare t-shirt, like that, it was like, you wore it. And it's like, yeah, like, it's like, I'm naughty. I bought the candy cigarettes from the ice cream truck, and then I didn't get one. And I was so bummed about it because then I just had boring ass health class. Did y'all watch the health video? So TV related, but it was called "Am I Normal?" "Am I Normal" was the name of the sex ed video we watched. Yes, my friends and I found it on YouTube like in late high school and watched it again, and it's incredible. Like the dialogue is so terrible, and
so we
got "Am I Normal" instead of Dare.
Describe to me. So, like, is this live action? Is this a cartoon?
It is live action, and there's a very concerned young man, like in gym class and in the locker room.
Okay, let me see.
Am I normal?
It's 1979.
Is that all right? I found something. Let me see if I can show. Because I'm on the IMDb. Let me see.
Oh my God, a film about puberty for boys.
Is this what you're talking about? A film about male puberty. 13-year-old Jimmy has a lot of questions.
It sounds familiar.
Because I'm looking at this in particular, and it's like, ooh.
This rings a bell. But this is what we had instead of Dare, I guess. But
oh my God. Again, I of course missed the Dare because I moved here in the 9th grade. But in Oklahoma, unfortunately, we had a drunk driving thing. But they had like a straight up crashed car on the in the middle of campus. And I forgot about this until you just talked about it, because I remember showing up to campus and I missed an email, I missed something, I don't know, but next thing you know, I'm walking to class 9 a.m. or whatever, and this car is like beeping at me, and it's just like, if you drink and drive, this is what will happen.
Yeah, we had that too. Ours was called every 15 minutes. And every 15 minutes throughout the day, they took someone out of class. And then I guess they had been pre-picked, but then they came back like painted like white, like white makeup to look like they were dead. Yeah, it was terrifying. It was terrifying. And then they had a parent of a former student who had died in a drunk driving accident come and give a whole assembly.
Yes,
it was very
impactful.
impactful.
So I had that too. Well, first off, we need to take a second to focus on whatever odd like theaters going on with
Yeah,
that.
I was like, was it the theater kids?
Yeah, like did people opt into this, or was it like you get out of class? We're gonna
No, I
cover
think
you
they
in
opted in. They opted in. It wasn't just theater kids. I remember my friend Gabby did it, but then once they got pulled out and like painted white, then they couldn't talk the rest of the day. And then you'd be like, "Hey, what's going on?" You know, like what?
Oh
Like, what are
my
you doing?
god!
And then they were dead that day, and it was just like, holy fuck! Like it was
My mom would
very jarring.
beat me if
It was
I like
very
signed up
jarring.
for things like this.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
sounds wild. I mean, my experience with that is listen, as much as Dare made an impact in my life, there might have been a couple times when I imbibed in something green in high school, and I had a free period one particular day when I heard there was a boring assembly coming up, and so I thought like, all right, maybe this'll make the medicine go down a little better. Only to
Period.
find out it was a Mothers Against Drunk Driving assembly, and I could not keep it together.
Oh my god!
I had to leave.
Oh,
I had to leave in like 3/4 of the way through.
No.
It was the worst possible time I could have picked
That's horrible.
in eternity.
That's
and so,
so
it will forever
funny,
be
so
burned in my
horrible.
brain to replace some of those memory cells I lost that day. It was God. Maybe that was like just starting the beginning of the end of my time taking
Oh
in
my
pot.
god!
Because
Were you a senior? Were you a senior that
Oh, yeah.
year?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Had you gotten into college already? Were you like,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
early decision. Like second half of the year was senioritis on senioritis. And so I was
Oh,
like,
that's
Oh my
so
God.
I was like,
real.
surely there'll be nothing traumatizing if I just imbibe in a little bit of ganja before I take in this educational assembly.
Some of that jazz
So I think
cabbage.
safe to say, if there was a crash car on my high school campus, I would have like had full on agita. Like I think I just would have like, I might have turned into the real life version of those white faced kids by
Yeah.
the end of it.
Oh my god!
The question
Wow.
I have is, do we think we need more PSAs? Do you think Gen Z and Gen Alpha, would they be receptive to like if we brought back PSAs at like the end of their favorite YouTube videos or whatever
Yes.
shows are popular nowadays?
They need something because the what is it? Gen Alpha brain rot is very much a real thing. I love watching the TikToks from like teachers and Sasha. Don't you work with kids in some capacity? Like
I used to,
you
yes.
used to. Okay.
Yeah. I used to work with teens. So.
Yeah, and they're just maybe we sounded like that when we were around that age, but to me it's just like, oh my god, they don't know anything. Like it's kind of jarring. It's a little jarring. So
I worked with them during COVID, so you can only imagine. They really didn't know anything.
well, and that's the thing is like I
Yeah.
make jokes about these kids, but it's a lot of it's not their fault. Like if I had to do online school when I was like 12, like good god, probably
Yeah,
would be
100%.
illiterate now.
So what do you think it should be? Should like Mr. Beast? I mean, he's got a lot of things to atone for, but should he go hardcore? Like, yeah, cocaine isn't where it is, kids. Like, do we reach them through the influencers, or are there other pieces of media that like should the minions come out at the end of Despicable Me 5 and talk about the merits of protected sex?
Listen, you don't want
Wrap
a
your
bunch
banana.
of minions. Yeah. Ooh, look at
banana.
Owen.
Banana.
Yes. Oh my god. You know what? You're welcome. Sex ed. That
Yeah.
was the greatest slogan.
It's
And maybe
over.
the kids will like that. Maybe they'll remember it. I'll tell you that.
yeah.
See, that's the thing is I think that all of us, we kind of had it so shoehorned in our faces. And granted, it was through
Yes.
like the fact that there were only a couple of mediums that you could really get to us by.
Fair.
Now it's a much more wide-reaching influence. So maybe like, I don't know, mandate so every show has to do it at the end.
Well, I think about like I still remember the commercial where the kid is brushing. It was like a little PSA on PBS where the kid is brushing his teeth and he leaves the water running when he's brushing his teeth, and it shows the water out of the pond in his yard going away and like the fish dying in his yard as he's like wasting water.
God.
And it's like,
Yes.
don't waste water. And it's like, oh god, like, and I still think about that when I brush my teeth now. I'm like very anal about turning the water off.
Yeah, me
And-
too. Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
Because you can't kill the fish in your backyard.
Yeah, I
But-
wonder if that's the case. Do we need like more guilt?
Guilt.
You know?
Yeah. Make
Don't you-
fear-based PSAs.
I
Yeah.
really want to know this, right? Like, I feel that our generation, this is such a like ridiculous podcast now. I love it. But you know, I feel like our generation, smoking was the thing that I feel
Mhm.
like we did a good job to be like, no. Not that we don't do it in maybe other forms, but I feel like just that cigarette, like that Marlboro cigarette
Yeah.
version of smoking, I feel like was not as celebrated when I feel like I was growing up, and even in college, like folks just weren't necessarily doing that particular thing. Versus now the vaping. I'm like, bring back those ads.
Yeah, where's
This is
truth.com?
crazy. Yes. I feel like truth.com
Where's that
did
lady
the
with the
big
frying
one.
pan? Where's the flat girl?
Remember that lady with the like thing in
voice,
her
Yeah.
her throat?
Terrifying. Yeah, we need to traumatize more kids, I think is what we're getting at here.
I'm with you. Listen. And
Sammy just walked up and just shook her head. She's like, what the hell are y'all talking about?
Well, I do want to ask about that, Owen. It's a really nice segue because you are recently married. I feel like this is something actually, Sasha, that you and I haven't spoken about, but I am so intrigued to hear about each of our individual, as a couple, habits when it comes to watching a show. You know, are you people who will watch shows together? Is there any sort of trust loss when like one of you decides to watch a show and the other one doesn't? I would say, let's start with this, Owen. What percentage of the TV you watch nowadays is done with Sammy?
Probably like 90%, I would say.
Wow.
So for me, it's categorizing shows into Owen shows, and then there's the fully watching together shows, and then there's the half watching shows, which I feel like are pretty critical to the relationship, where shows where I'm interested in watching, Sammy's kind of interested in watching, and she'll be like on her phone and kind of paying attention. So for example, Severance cannot be one of those shows. You know, Severance is a full watch, put the phone down, pay attention the whole time kind of show, versus like if she checks her phone through 95% of Big Brother, who cares? You know? So it's, yeah, so that's it. And then I watch just like random action stuff, like on my phone when I'm gaming or something like that. So we mostly watch shows together, I would say, which is really nice because we do like a lot of the same stuff. It's just mostly like when things are like too realistically violent, those are the ones that she can't do as well.
Yeah, Sasha, what's your percentage?
Impossible, right? At this point, no. Maybe 5% we watch together. Like below, like we literally, I think, could name 5 shows because my husband wasn't necessarily a TV person before he met me. And then he was like, oh, the only show, funny enough, we talked about on our first date that my husband watched was Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. And I thought I was the only person in the world that watched that show. Obviously not, because it's really popular. Especially at that time, but that's the only show he used to watch. And then he met me, and poor guy is like inundated with all the shows. So we have food shows that I think, like you, Owen, I cannot watch without him. And Below Deck is the other one now that I cannot watch without him, unfortunately, even though I have to podcast about it or So those were our only ones. He literally does not care about any shows like that. And then he has like sci-fi shows that I cannot like. Just please be serious. But yeah, I feel like you and Angela do a lot of shows.
It varies. Like what I would say is it's interesting, Sasha, what you brought up about Below Deck. What will usually happen is that we'll watch shows together, but more often than not, one of us will have already seen it. So it varies from a couple perspectives. For me, it's like, okay, I'm watching this episode early for something, like I'm watching it the day it comes out because I have to cover it in some way, or I get the chance to watch a screener, and now I'm sort of watching it for the second time. For Angela, it's that like sometimes she will watch a bunch of shows like in the background while she's working, and so she's checked out before me. Bridgerton's a great example where she like watched all of season 3, and I was like, okay, now I want to watch, because suffice to say also, like it takes me a little while to come around on shows that I don't immediately have to cover. And so, yeah, it ends up being this odd thing where like we're each doing this tango of trying not to reveal to the other person, like, okay, you should watch this part, or like, I want to get your reaction for this one in particular, without necessarily cluing into being like, hey, this is something that I want a reaction out of you with. You know, we're not going to do like the full red wedding, pulling out the phone and videoing their reaction. But you do feel a little bit, especially when you know the person really well, you could sort of feel in your peripheral, right? The eyes watching you, watching the screen.
100%. That happened to me yesterday, actually. I had one of the Mission Impossible movies up when I was just like doing work. And it was the scene in where Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg are invading the Kremlin, and they've got this like screen that is projecting the image behind them, and Simon Pegg gets his face in it, and it like projects his face. But I told Sammy like, oh, there's a funny part coming up about 3 minutes too early for it to happen.
No!
So I felt so bad because she's there like attentively watching, and then it's just them in silence scooting forward, and then eventually his face pops up, and it's like she didn't even laugh because like the funny part arrived so late. But yeah, it is weird when you have put like, you do want to see the reaction and you want it to be genuine, but then by wanting to capture the genuine reaction, it loses some of its genuineness if they like pick up on it. So it's like, it's a weird dance you have to do. But Mike, you had mentioned like, I forget if you used the word betrayal or not, but like that was an element of the question. And I actually noticed the other day, Sammy had started The Diplomat with Kerry Russell.
Oh, yeah.
And she's on season 2 already. And I was like, wait, I loved her in The Americans. Like, wait, I might want to watch this. And I was like, because I didn't think that would be one she would want to watch, period, let alone without me. So I was a little taken aback. But
yeah, that's the tough thing is, that happens. You get a glimpse of like, oh, you're making some assumptions right now. And it's, listen, what I will say is that it with time heals all wounds. Like, it'll happen many more times, and eventually either she learns the taste that you have, or vice versa. And you learn that like, listen, it feels like it's an ocean of content that just keeps filling up with more water every day, the opposite of your PSA. And so like, it's all about just treading water sometimes. So like, if they're swimming in a different part of the ocean, you could eventually swim your way over there, or you might just be able to only doggy paddle through the other things that are pouring in your particular wheelhouse.
That's sage mare's advice.
Yes. I always get to use the excuse of, you take too long to finish a show. And I have to get through it. And sometimes I lie and say it's for a podcast, because then that really gets me off the hook. But other times I'm like, you're only free at night and I go to bed early. So like, no.
That's what happens with us as well, is that usually I'll only want to watch stuff at night. And I am also, I think I've talked about this on podcast before, but I'm like such an anti-binger. I am someone who like will watch max 2 episodes of something a night, because like I don't want everything to run together in my head. So it's like, all right, so we're not going to fly through everything in a day. It does help though sometimes when you have people in the know. Like when I watched the final season of The Crown, Angela basically stopped me at one point and she's like, yeah, that was pretty much the best episode of the season. It's like, you don't need to watch the rest. It's fine. I'll tell you what happens. And it's like, all right, I'll take your word for it. You know me well enough that I'm good enough to quote unquote waste 3 more hours on this.
Mm-hmm. That's tough, because as much as I don't want to waste my own time, I have a hard time abandoning a show, even if I know it's not going to do that. But Sammy will do what you were saying, and she'll like full on spoil herself on something if she's not feeling it. She'll like go on Wikipedia and just be like, whatever, I'm done.
Sometimes if a show is taking too long to get to the point, or especially, I think I'm more like this with movies than I am a show, but I'll be like, no, it's taking too long. I'm still going to watch it, but I'm going to read what's going on just so I can like get through this. So that the horror movie, oh my God, with James, what is his name? Oh my God, whatever. Anyway, there was this horror movie and it was taking too long, and I was like, I'm scared, but I'm not scared enough to keep going.
James McAvoy?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Split, maybe.
Split, thank you. Oh no, not Split. Split actually scared me.
Is it the recent one that he did?
The new one. Yeah. Speak No Evil, that one. And I was just like, oh my God, it's taking too long. What's going on? Like, let me read it. And I was like, oh, that's interesting enough. I'll keep watching.
That's interesting, because I'm the same way though. Like, I'm so much more willing to give a show hours and hours to get good versus a movie. I am much more impatient, even though you're thinking about like the number of minutes you're putting into it. It's like, I'm so interested by the psychology of like our tolerance for a show to develop versus a movie. It's weird. It's like counterintuitive.
Yeah. And it's interesting because the narrative has shifted, but it also hasn't, where it's like, to your point, Owen, they're 6, it's a 6-hour movie. And so like, if you feel dissatisfied with the first hour, well, good news. It's just the first part of the movie. Whereas I think because a movie is supposed to be like one succinct, singular experience, there are loftier expectations to like have you hooked and keep you hooked for a portion of time. Whereas a TV show, they're relying on at least a little bit of loyalty and like, don't worry, it's coming down the line. We just have to plant the seeds first before things grow. That's
a really good point. The whole don't touch that dial of it all, but it's just, I guess it's just different in the streaming age where they release all 10 episodes at once. It's like you and there's so much more out there. It's just like different, and that loyalty is harder to come by, I guess.
Which is really interesting. And I think I talked about this like when Jeff does your favorite thing, when the live Survivor after show, where he's
My favorite.
where he's like, if you're just joining us, and it's like, who nowadays is randomly channel surfing and will be like, oh yes, I found Survivor at 10:45 p.m. Let's see.
Let's see who won where I missed the first half of the finale.
What's going on right now? It just feels like that is sort of parlance that has yet to work its way out of the system of television, despite the fact that it's something that doesn't feel necessary in a day and age where like you can seek out the content that you want and not just randomly find it while you're going through things.
Mike, speaking of seeking out content, I wanted to ask you if you've watched Culinary Class Wars yet, because I know we've done the Top Chef podcast together.
Oh yes, I have not. Give me the pitch on it.
Okay, so the pitch is, have either of you watched Physical 100 on Netflix?
Yeah, not all of it, but
I've watched a little bit of it.
You're familiar with the concept. So it's basically Physical 100 with chefs, to where they are competing in all of these very well-designed culinary competitions, a la Top Chef, but it's 80 Black Spoon chefs who are not like super renowned. They've some of them own restaurants, but one of them's a lunch lady and a YouTube guy and this and that. And then there are 20 like elite level Korean chefs, and they are competing, and they've got these different rounds, and it's, I think, maybe 12 episodes, but the challenges I thought were very well designed. There's a Restaurant Wars-esque episode. There's head-to-head elements. There's team elements. They have one where the translation ended up just saying room of meat competition.
Yes.
It was great. It was really, really, really good. So Sammy and I binged that last week, and I was hooked. Actually, Kelly Wentworth was the person that first I saw recommended it. She put it on like her Instagram story or something, and I loved it. And Edward Lee from Top Chef is on, and it was great. Highly recommend.
That's so
okay. This looks really cool. Yeah, I just looked it up. Oh, I love a good cooking show.
Well, I think as well, like the idea of, I guess, the class war aspect of it, right? That like there's an underdog narrative that's kind of baked in as well. I mean, there is a very scripted element to that, almost, of like, all right, this group are the up and comers, and these are the people kind of looking to defend their throne. I mean, that's sort of just reality TV storytelling 101, is bake in that narrative, much like the many baked goods I'm assuming they make on this show.
Exactly. Yeah, you get that natural inclination to root for people, and I thought they did a good job exploring the cast, because that was one of my like gripes with Physical 100 is like it's so hard to like feel invested in so many people, and you can only know so many, and you kind of get a hint of who's going far. But I feel like they did a pretty good job of spreading the love. But I will say, one of my favorite things about Korean shows is watching them replay the same moment over and over from different angles. So you see everyone going "wah" and like from different angles, and
Indian TV shows do the same exact thing.
It's so funny. They could save a lot of minutes by just cutting it down, but I think it adds to it where you see the reactions of like everyone. But yeah, I really loved it, and I feel like the good Korean stuff on Netflix has been so good.
I mean, in Korea, K-dramas anyway have been taken off. So everything coming out of, I feel like entertainment wise in Korea and skincare, is just killing it right now, and feels like what everyone should be tapped into. My mom's really into K-dramas and watches them, like, I think on Netflix as well. So she's always like, no, watch this show and that show, because sounds very similar to Indian soap operas where Indian soap operas run, I think, year round, and they go every single day of the week, or the weekdays, so not weekends. So they have 5 days, whatever the math is on that, and 5 times, whatever. And that's why they have to show, I think, every angle, and the story doesn't really move forward because they have so much to cover.
So they're like, we can just replay this moment and fill some time by showing it 5 times in a row.
Like literally one whole script was this daughter-in-law washed, like literally, like doing the dishes, a laptop.
Oh my God. Incredible.
Yeah.
The whole premise of soap operas reminds me of this podcast I once listened to over COVID called Sleep With Me, where this
Ooh.
guy tells you nonsensical,
Oh, yeah,
non-linear
yeah, yeah.
stories to help you fall asleep because it's like mentally impossible to follow. That's what soap operas feel like to me, where it's just
Very
like you
much.
don't know where the storylines are going, they don't make sense, random characters get introduced. But I love it when CBS used to have Survivor people show up on Days of Our Lives or
Yep.
whatever, and be like, "Don't miss it tomorrow. Suri comes into the whatever." And it's just like, what? Like, why? How? Like, what's this going to do? I never
Why
watched any of
not?
it, but I was always entertained by the whole like premise of that being a thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, like is that really going to be a hook for a lot of people? Are more people going to watch The Young and the Restless for that one day because Enzo from Big Brother is going to
Right.
like show up in a cat costume for a 30-second cameo?
Right. Yeah. Let me log into Paramount Plus at work at
Yeah.
10:42 a.m. to watch Enzo's appearance.
Only for Suri, okay? And
Yeah.
that's it. Owen,
Exactly.
are there any particular shows you feel like really excited to introduce to people?
Ooh, goodness. I feel like what have I been enjoying lately? Um, Shrinking on Apple TV.
Ooh,
I've
yeah.
really been enjoying with
Mhm.
what's his name? Jason
Jason Segel.
Segel and Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I feel
This
like that's the Apple TV show that feels like people talk about Ted Lasso, people talk about Severance, but that feels like it's in its third season, so it's obviously successful, but I feel like nobody talks about it.
Yeah, like I don't think many of my friends watch it, and like one of my friends, like How I Met Your Mother and Forgetting Sarah
Mhm.
Marshall are like his two favorite pieces of media, and he's like, no, I haven't checked it out yet. But I think I'm really taken with it too because the version of Harrison Ford's character feels very much like my dad in just his
Oh.
mannerisms and just like he's kind of like grumpy and just like um not, and I'm making my parents sound like a Bible thumper and a total grump this podcast, but they're great. But it is like his mannerisms are just reminiscent. What else am I enjoying? Yeah, Culinary Class Wars. I loved. We just started Day of the Jackal last night with Eddie
Ooh.
Redmayne, who's playing a hitman, which is kind of funny to me because he has like the weirdest, most unique face in the entire world. And it's like, how could this guy be an international undercover spy hitman?
So does
Like
he wear like prosthetics and disguises?
yeah, and this isn't really a spoiler because it's in the first like minute, but yeah, his in the first episode he's like dressed up like this old man, and then they show the process of him taking it off, and it's like, oh wow, that was, that was him under there with that big ass mouth of his. Because I saw it, I looked up just to see like what the IMDb score was, and someone the headline I saw on the Google page was like, it was made possible by Eddie Redmayne's reptilian performance. I was like,
Oh my
golly, like
god.
brutal. Like
I was
that's
gonna say, and there's like a special experience that reality TV contestants have with like random no names making personal comments about you, but like you're sort of in the same boat relatively as some of these actors and actresses who they have these segments on talk shows where they read mean tweets about themselves or like
mm-hmm.
bad Google searches. So yeah, people are people at the end of the
They're
day,
gonna
and
do
people will
it.
respond to people.
My favorite one of about myself was someone said I looked like woo, gained 10 pounds and pursued a career in IT.
Oh,
I upvoted it. I was like, that's pretty good. Like,
oh
that's
my
unique.
god.
Like, that
And
was
this is
good.
why representation matters because
Exactly.
because Owen has how many options to be compared to?
Right. Right. Well, now we got King Saul now showing a totally
Yep.
different body type for the Korean men out there. So,
Period.
yeah.
Listen, shout out Oklahoma.
Yeah, for real. Oh, speaking of Oklahoma, I watched Twisters yesterday for the first time, which was
Ooh.
excellent. I loved it. I had a blast watching
I
that
really
movie.
liked I like both of them. Did y'all ever I don't know if it's right, experience the Universal Twisters ride?
Mm-mm.
No,
Oh my god.
I heard things about it though, and yeah, truly a marker of its time that they dedicated an entire theme park ride that very much outlasted the footprint that the original film had before it got
Mhm.
reinvigorated. Now,
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
all I think about when even though I've lived through tornadoes in Oklahoma, but still.
did
Yeah.
you ever strap yourself down with a belt to a pipe? I hear that apparently is okay to survive a Category 5 storm.
There's no way. Right? It's just they'll show anything. But no, I did have to do the mattress and the bathtub thing, but thankfully nothing happened, knock on wood. So all good.
Sasha, what years were you at OU?
Oh my god, 2009 to I did my master's as well, so 2015.
Gotcha. So who
Yeah.
was that? Like, was that Sam Bradford territory, or was that
Sam Bradford was my first year, and fun fact, I almost ran him over with my car.
Oh, that is
Heisman winner.
Do tell, how'd that happen?
Just, not to feed into the Asians and women are bad drivers.
That would have been like a worse car accident than the one.
No, I
that was
literally
on
would have had
campus.
to transfer. No, I would end up at Texas because that's the only place that would accept.
That would have taken you.
That. Yeah. But I went, why are you transferring? I ran over to Sam Bradford.
That's funny.
I was like, I had a class like right across from the football stadium, like in that area. And I was driving, obviously texting and driving. And Sam Bradford was hurt already. So I think he was like hobbling a little. So he's going slower than normal. And he's like, I still remember this like so vividly. And he's just like walking with his hand in a sling. And he's like walking across. And I wasn't paying attention in a parking lot. So stupid. And I started driving. And then I like hit the brakes. Thank God. So fast.
Oh my
incredible.
God.
Well, yeah.
Oh man.
I mean, this is the PSA that we need. This is like Sam Bradford coming on being like, I almost got hit by some young woman who was texting and driving. The next time it could be a Heisman winner. Don't text and drive. Like, this is what the kids need to find out, that some of the most treasured athletes in modern America could get snuffed out like a candle, like a birthday candle by some person's reckless activity.
Well,
my little 98 Nissan Altima.
Yeah. This is a crazy, Sasha, because I have a very similar story in my 02 Cavalier almost hitting Drew Brees here in New Orleans.
What?
So he eerily similar. Eerily similar. I was not texting, but there's
good
to park. So I work on Tulane's campus, like right at the front of campus off St. Charles Avenue, and across from Tulane is this big park, Audubon Park, and then a lot of like really rich people live right next to the park, and there's parking right next to the park. So one day I was making the little loop around and I made this left turn, and I didn't have to slam on the brakes, but when I made the left turn, in the middle of the street talking to his neighbor is Drew Brees. And I had to brake. And like, if I wasn't paying attention, I would have hit him. But then I look up and I was like, holy fucking shit, that's Drew Brees.
What year was this?
This was probably maybe the year before he retired.
So you're going to send him to an early retirement.
I don't know. But yeah, that was crazy because I was like, oh. And then I was a little surprised and shell shocked and was like, sorry. And then I look and I'm making eye contact with Drew Brees there. And I wouldn't have been able to transfer. I would have been murdered if I had hit him with my car. That would have been a citywide emergency. So yeah, that's crazy.
I can't believe I'm the only person on this panel who didn't nearly run over a quarterback with their car.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it's purely coincidental that you're the only non-Asian person.
I know. That's what's taking me out.
We're never beating allegations.
Never. And the problem is there's multiple Asian, like,
yeah, we got South and East covered here.
So unfortunately,
yeah, this is bad. We're cooked.
Just stay away when we're driving. No, it's okay. I don't text and drive anymore. And the Raiders are out of Oakland where I live, so there's no quarterbacks. But maybe the Raiders would want me to hit a quarterback. I don't know. Call me Raiders.
Yeah, seriously. And now the baseball team isn't even there anymore.
No,
so
they're nothing.
MLB
and the
player.
Warriors are gone. Everyone's out.
So there's no major athletes, Sasha, that you can commit a hit and run on.
There's Oakland Ballers. That's it. They're like a not MLB, but whatever's under that.
Oh, the AAA.
Yeah. So find me, Ballers.
Incredible.
Oh God. Well, that's a hell of a plug to finish things on. Owen, anything else you want to bring up? Any other stuff that you're anticipating watching, or like anything that you like to plug for other people in terms of shows to check out?
No, I don't think so. I kind of the Culinary Class Wars. I want to be able to talk with more people about. That's the big show that I was like really excited to watch. I don't know. Do y'all have any recommendations for me? Anything you're enjoying lately?
Mm-hmm. Ugh.
Oh, you said so I didn't know if you
Yeah,
got
I
it.
know. I'm trying to think. No, that's why I was literally going through my Netflix as you were
I mean, what I
talking.
would say is that if you're a fan of Severance and you're looking for a little bit of like an
Yeah.
Apple TV Plus show fill-in that ticks that sci-fi itch that also begins with S, you can check out Silo. Silo is starring Rebecca Ferguson. It is if you're into like mystery box shows, post-apocalyptic stuff, it is very, very well done. It's based on a book series, but they have deviated so much from the source material. Season 2 just started, though I recommend you watch season 1 for many reasons, but that's
If
what
you
I would
just
recommend.
got here.
Yeah, in case you just checked it out, this is everything that's happening. So yeah, very much recommend people check that out on the precipice of a new season happening.
Yeah, I love that. You sparked something because I was figuring out I don't recommend this show, but this is so ridiculous. So like I don't know where I sit with it. It's Beauty and Black, the Tyler Perry show. And it's so
Is there a
it's
super
the
idol
Tyler Perry
involved?
show. No, don't worry. Lots of other things, and obviously not an SFW, like very much. Like it's about strippers and just unserious ass show. But anyway, that's just what I just finished. That's what I was trying to figure out how to work around it. But in reality, because Sex Lives of College Girls is coming out, maybe that would be a good one. And Never Have I Ever, obviously, as the like PG version of that. I think that's what's currently on my mind.
Love it.
But I just been deep in Christmas movies, y'all. So
I was gonna say, is it like when's your demarcator? Is it like post Halloween is when you start getting into it?
Yes, period. As soon as Netflix put them out, I consume.
It's
That
time.
new Christina Milian one that I just watched. Wow.
So are you a Netflix Christmas person? Or are you a Hallmark, a Lifetime? What's your vehicle?
Oh, baby, I don't discriminate. I consume. Wherever it is, I will be watching. And
Incredible.
The one good thing about having cable is that I get to watch Lifetime and Hallmark Christmas movie. I just get to like turn it on while I'm doing work. So truly perfect.
Have you seen Klaus on Netflix?
Yes.
I loved that. Sammy and I watched that last year, and as soon as it flipped over past Halloween and past our wedding, I was like, I can't wait to watch Klaus again this year.
It's like, so good.
It's so cute. I loved
them.
it.
The dumber, the better. Like, I don't know how to explain it. And it's just, and Klaus is like a really smart. I feel like compared to the other stuff I watch, and like a really sweet, just precious thing. But I don't care. I don't discriminate. And now they're started with Hanukkah movies as well.
Okay.
So really, it's just wow.
Are you? I was gonna say like Lindsay Lohan's Christmas movie.
Yes,
is that in your rotation?
Oh, you know it will be. I mean, she's done a few before. Or she did like. Did she do? Yeah, I think she did Christmas before. Now it's like Irish or something.
Irish Wish.
Yeah, that's what it was.
With that St. Patrick's Day this year.
So I love this stupid stuff, y'all. But yeah, that's what, I just feel like we all need more happiness in our lives. So that's why I would recommend that.
'Tis the season.
Absolutely. Yes. Well, Owen, thank you for bringing the happiness that it can only come with the holiday spirit this time around. It was far from a car wreck that you produced. safe travels through, and this was such a great time. After, again, you had a big week here on RHAP. For those who missed it, you want to talk about any other appearances that you made and any plugs you want to give on social media?
Yeah, I did the Know-It-Alls with Steven this past week and had a blast talking about the most recent Survivor 47 episode. So that was really fun. And we covered a lot of ground today, certainly. So this was great. And I don't know if I have any other podcasts coming up, but I'll tell you, Steven and I talked about it. Blue Sky was so much more fun on Wednesday night than Twitter has gotten for me. I just feel a lot less stressed on the app. It feels like a closer circle of real people rather than all the bots and all the right-wing crazy conspiratorial takes I get on my suggested page. So yeah, Blue Sky, I'm the Young Knight. That's my Instagram handle. as well. And yeah, always good to talk with y'all. And Sasha, I think this was our first time podcasting
I
together. It was fun.
know.
I had a
Yeah,
blast.
I'm so glad we were able to listen. That's why we started this pod, just so I can be as cool as Mike and meet reality.
I mean, if you're trying to be as cool as me, that bar is in hell.
How
So
dare you,
you
first
just
of all.
stepped right over it.
You just need to light up some jazz cabbage and go to a school assembly on
That's the
tragedy.
Mike Bloom method, baby.
And not hit any quarterbacks.
Yeah. God.
Exactly. Like I could have theoretically, like, if you combine my tragic stories with your tragic stories, that's a PSA right there.
I love it. That's what this podcast actually was. You're all welcome.
Yeah, someone call Mr. Beast and we'll get it going. We'll get it on his channel. I think Jesse might have his number. So.
Oh my god, I don't know. No more Mr. Beast, I think now.
Well, Sasha, you are certainly much less disgraced than the YouTuber in question. In fact, you're putting out much better content than he is, I dare say.
Oh,
What do you want to
so
plug for
sweet.
the listeners out there?
Yes, listen, if you want to know why something's trending, if you want to know what's going on in the pop culture world, you want to check out Mess Magnets, where Kirsten McKennis and I are talking about all of that and more. And listen, there is not a PSA, but a fun challenge for everyone. We are looking for the sexiest man alive because we just weren't happy with People magazine. So go to tinyurl.com/messmagnet and fill in who you think it is. Okay,
All ye.
we're putting the power back to the people, and we're gonna pick the top 5 and then do a whole little thing.
Oh, now, are you picking by like vote, or are you picking aesthetically, in your opinion, the top 5 from those that have been submitted?
Great question. I think a mix of both. Like I'd be damned if Shah Rukh Khan doesn't make it on, but like I will be the only person voting for him. I know, but that's my man, and I've loved him, since the 90s. So it is what it is. But outside of that, yeah, it's all what the folks are gonna do. We've already had like a bunch of like a few people that have got multiple votes. So the front runners are coming in already. So if you want to put your people in, come on. tinyurl.com/messmagnets is the first question on the form.
I'm gonna send in that live action
Please.
Johnny Bravo influencer.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Do it. Yeah. So listen, and funny men are also sexy men. So let's be very clear on that. Okay. So yes, that's what we're doing. And of course, Matt Lagori and I are talking Dancing with the Stars, which has been really fun. So check that out on the Rob as a Podcast YouTube channel or the We Know Scripted TV feed. And scripted. Oh my god, We Know Reality TV feed. Wrong feeds. Yeah, and for everything else I'm doing, just I'll be on the blue skies. So let's talk there. And there might be a new podcast dropping on right here on We Know Scripted TV.
They're gonna say Monday. Right now.
No, they're on Monday on We Know Scripted TV. So just check it out. I'll just say some of my squad is coming back together. I don't know.
Oh,
it's gonna be a fun time. What about you, Mike?
Well, besides filling this mailbox here with live action Johnny Bravo,
yes,
salacious pictures, the usual stuff. I'm covering Survivor in written in podcast form. I'm covering Silo, the aforementioned show that came back for season 2. I'm doing Battlestar Galactica. I'm doing a bunch of other random stuff in between as well. Sasha, I think I actually might be filling in for you next week when you will be away. Yes, your presence will be missed, but I should be coming back to do more TV for real in Sasha's absence. We're just sort of like we're two ships passing in the night at this moment, being like nodding to each other as we head into the Thanksgiving holiday, and then a nice little stride towards the end of the year. Sasha, I hope you have a great trip. We'll miss you next week, but I'm sure you'll be imbibing in plenty of Christmas-based paraphernalia, both movies and otherwise, to keep yourself occupied.
Listen, I'll be at work, okay? So I'm going to be at a conference talking about the future and what happens after.
Maybe that's something we could do. If we could find a Christmas-obsessed reality TV star, maybe you all can have us watch something, and then we'll do like a book report on it the next time.
Oh my, yes, immediately.
All right, we'll talk about that offline. But regardless, I'll be back next week with another reality star talking scripted TV. Thank you all so much for listening. Such a great time. Owen, thank you as always. You were such a delightful presence here. Sasha, thank you for holding it down last week. So great to be back. We'll be back with more TV for real next week. Until then, everybody, it's been real.
Bye.